The night was quiet in a way that made humans nervous. Jack Miller walked alone through the red desert, his boots sinking slightly into the cold sand. Above him, the sky was wide and full of stars. Too many stars. Humans had learned to fear the stars after the invasion. That was where the enemy came from. That was where death waited. Jack was not a soldier anymore. Not officially. The war had taken his uniform, his unit, and his brother. Now he lived on the edge of human land, far from cities, far from hope. He hunted. He repaired old machines. He survived. That was enough. Then he heard the sound. Please. Help me. Jack stopped walking. The voice was weak, shaking, and not human. His hand moved to his rifle without thinking. His heart began to beat faster. Aliens sometimes used voices to trap humans. The smart ones learned human language. The cruel ones enjoyed begging sounds. Please. I don't want to die. The voice came again, closer now. Jack slowly turned toward a group of broken rocks. A faint blue light flickered behind them. It was not fire. It was not technology he recognized. He stepped forward carefully, and then he saw her. She was lying on the sand, her body half covered in dust. She was taller than any human woman, her limbs long and thin. Her skin glowed softly, like moonlight on water. Dark silver blood stained her side. Her breathing was shallow and uneven. Her eyes opened when she saw him. They were full of fear. She struggled to lift herself and failed. Her hands trembled as she pressed them into the sand. Human, she whispered. Please, help me. Jack stared at her in silence. This was wrong. Everything about this was wrong. Aliens did not beg humans. Aliens ruled the skies. They burned cities. They crushed armies. Humans ran. Humans hid. Humans begged. Not the other way around. Jack felt anger rise in his chest. Memories flashed in his mind. Screaming crowds, burning buildings, alien ships floating calmly while people died below them. You picked the wrong person, Jack said coldly. Go beg your own kind. The alien woman closed her eyes. Tears formed and slid down her glowing skin. They will kill me, she said softly. Jack hesitated. Something in her voice felt real. Too real. Who? He asked. She swallowed with difficulty. My people. Jack frowned. Your people are everywhere, he said. Why would they hunt you? Her eyes opened again, and this time they met his. Because I failed them. Jack let out a short, humorless laugh. Join the club. She tried to move again and cried out in pain. The wound on her side pulsed faintly, as if alive. Against his better judgment, Jack crouched a few steps away. He did not lower his rifle, but he did listen. My name is Lyra, she said. I was sent to observe your species. Jack's jaw tightened. So you're a spy, he said. She shook her head slowly. I was a judge. That word made his blood run cold. Judges decided which worlds lived. Which worlds died. You should already know how this ends, Jack said. Humans don't get mercy. I know, Lyra replied. That is why I spoke against the decision. Jack froze. What decision? He asked. Lyra took a shaky breath. The council voted to erase Earth. The desert seemed to grow quieter. As if even the wind was listening. Jack felt something break inside him, but his face stayed calm. When? He asked. Soon, she whispered. Very soon. Jack stood up slowly. He looked at the stars again. Same stars. Same cold silence. Then he looked back at the wounded alien woman who was shaking in the sand. And you? He asked. Why are you here? Because I refuse to agree, Lyra said. I said humans deserve to live. Jack stared at her. For a moment, something strange happened. He started to laugh. Not loudly. Not happily, but with a bitter, broken sound that echoed across the empty desert. Lyra looked at him, confused and hurt. Why are you laughing? She asked weakly. Jack wiped his eyes and shook his head. I'm laughing, he said, because if this is the truth. He looked down at her, his smile fading into something darker. Then the galaxy has no idea what it just woke up. Jack's laughter faded into the cold desert wind. The quiet between them felt heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. Lyra lay on the sand, her glowing blue skin dimmed by exhaustion and fear. Her large, strange eyes looked up at him, and for the first time, Jack saw the weight she carried, not just in blood, but in guilt. I didn't mean to beg, she whispered. Her voice trembled. I never begged anyone before. Not even the council. Jack crouched closer, keeping his rifle ready but lowering it slightly. He had seen humans die, seen humans beg, and yet something about her felt different. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't trying to trap him. She was terrified, yes, but also honest. That honesty was dangerous in a universe where lies and fear ruled. Tell me the truth, Jack said softly. Why are they after you? Lyra struggled to sit up. Her wound throbbed, and a fresh line of silver blood ran down her side. I refuse to obey them, she said. I refuse to do what they ordered. I told them humans are not monsters. That we are wrong to judge you like that. Jack blinked. He should have been angry, or scared, or ready to kill her on the spot. But he only stared. You said what? I said humans are different, she whispered, looking down at the sand. I said they care. They help each other. They fight for each other, even when they know it could cost their lives. I told the Council Earth is not a threat to the galaxy. That your species deserves a chance. Jack felt a strange warmth in his chest. Then he laughed again. This time, it wasn't bitter, it was shocked, almost incredulous. Lyra flinched. Why are you laughing? Is it mockery? Do you think I lied? Jack shook his head, laughing softly through his disbelief. No. It's just, wow. You're telling the truth? He stared at her, and a faint smile tugged at his lips. You risked your life? For us? Yes, she said, her voice trembling. I could have saved myself. I could have lied. I could have done what the Council wanted, but I couldn't. I couldn't send your world to death. Jack sat down on the sand, letting the wind cool his face. You know humans don't get spared for kindness, he said. Aliens don't listen to reason. They don't forgive. If they find you, you're done. I know, Lyra replied. She looked up at him, her eyes wet. That is why I am asking for your help. Jack studied her. The glow of her body against the dark desert looked almost fragile, almost human. And yet he sensed strength in her, strength that came not from weapons, but from choices. Choices he knew humans respected above all. Why me? Jack asked. Why not someone from your own kind? Because I am marked, Lyra said. They will not spare me. You are human. You survive differently. You adapt. You fight. You think in ways they cannot predict. And I see something in you. Something they cannot touch. That is why I came to you. Jack ran a hand through his hair. He could feel the weight of the truth settling over him. Humans were nothing if not stubborn, but stubbornness alone wasn't enough to save a world. It took courage. It took hope. It took people willing to risk everything for others. He looked up at the sky. The stars seemed colder than before. Somewhere out there, the Council waited. Machines of judgment and death, ready to erase everything he had ever loved. And yet, here was an alien woman begging for his help, trusting him with her life. Jack smiled again, a soft, dangerous smile. You're lucky, Lyra, or maybe we're both lucky. She frowned. Why do you smile like that? Because, Jack said quietly, if you're telling the truth, the galaxy has never met humans like us. And they're about to learn just how far we will go to survive. Lyra swallowed, unsure whether to hope or fear. But for the first time since she had fled from the council, she felt a small flicker of something unfamiliar. Trust. Jack stood and held out his hand. "Come on," he said. "We don't have much time. If they catch you, this desert won't be big enough to hide us." Her hand hovered over his. Then she took it, trembling but determined. Jack pulled her up, feeling the strength in her fingers, the pulse of life and fear, hope and defiance. The desert stretched out in every direction, endless and quiet. But for the first time that night, Jack felt the beginnings of a plan forming. They would run. They would fight. And together, human and alien, they might just change everything. The stars above twinkled, distant and indifferent. But down on the sand, two beings stood side by side, one human, one alien ready to face the storm that waited. Jack and Lyra moved carefully across the desert, shadows stretching behind them like dark fingers. Every step was tense. The wind whispered secrets through the rocks, and Jack could feel it, danger waiting. He had seen alien patrols before, sleek ships with cold lights scanning the ground. One wrong move, and both of them would be gone. Lyra limped slightly, her glowing skin flickering in the moonlight. Jack noticed her wounds were worse than she had admitted. She winced with every step, but she refused to stop. Her eyes, wide and luminous, stayed on him as if she drew strength from his presence. Jack shook his head. Humans had survived harsh worlds for millennia, but here was an alien, fleeing her own kind, moving with human determination. It made him laugh again. She frowned. "You laugh too much," she said softly. "This is not a game, human." "No," Jack replied, smiling faintly, though the edges were sharp. "It's not a game. It's life. And right now, life is funny." He stopped for a moment and looked at her. "You risked everything for us. For humans. And the galaxy thinks we're weak, emotional, chaotic. And here we are, carrying your life like it's nothing." Lyra's eyes narrowed, confused. "You laugh. Because of that?" Jack nodded slowly. "Yeah, because of someone like you, someone from the High Council, who sees everything, knows everything, can risk your life for humans. Then maybe we're more than what the galaxy says. Maybe we're dangerous." She blinked. "Dangerous?" She whispered. "I only wanted to save lives, exactly." Jack's laughter softened into a grin. "That's what I mean. You wanted to save lives. And you came to a human. You trusted me." He shook his head in disbelief. "You don't understand. Humans are not used to being trusted. Not like this." Lyra looked down at her hands, the glow of her blood contrasting sharply against her blue skin. I did not have a choice. You were the only one who could help me survive." Jack crouched and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did have a choice. You chose to tell the truth. And you chose to come to a human. That's what makes this so funny. All your power, your people, your authority. And yet you had to run to someone weaker, slower, and totally unpredictable. You ran to me." Lyra's lips trembled, and she let out a shaky breath. She looked at Jack as though he had said something impossible. I thought humans were cruel," she admitted quietly. "I thought you would leave me here to die. I thought you would." Jack laughed again, cutting her off. "I wouldn't." His eyes softened. "Maybe I'm cruel sometimes, but I don't kill someone who asks for help. Not without a reason. And not like this." For a long moment, they walked in silence. Only the crunch of sand beneath their feet and the distant whisper of the wind accompanied them. Then Lyra asked, "Why are you really laughing, human?" Jack stopped and looked at her, his eyes catching the faint moonlight. "Because," he said slowly, "you just admitted something that the galaxy refuses to see. Humans are dangerous. But not because we destroy. Because we care. Because we protect. Because we fight for each other, even when it seems impossible. And if you, the High Council, can see that, then maybe the galaxy is finally about to learn. Lyra looked at him, her glowing tears shining in the desert night. You really believe that humans are worth saving? She asked softly. Jack smiled faintly, a shadow of pride crossing his face. We've already survived centuries of people trying to erase us. We've survived wars, famine, betrayal. We survived because we refused to give up. And now we're going to survive again. With your help. She hesitated, unsure. Her mind swirled with fear and disbelief. I am marked. If they catch me. Her voice broke. Jack placed a hand on her cheek. Then we make sure they don't. He pointed toward the horizon. We move fast. We hide. We fight if we must. And if they think humans are weak, they haven't met me yet. For the first time, Lyra laughed. It was soft, like a fragile melody. Then she fell silent, staring at the desert ahead. The stars above seemed endless, indifferent, but she realized something terrifying and beautiful. She had put her life in human hands. And somehow she felt safe. Jack began walking again, leading her across the cold sand. Each step carried hope, fear, and defiance. He could feel it building inside him, a storm he had always known humans possessed. And now, for the first time, Lyra could feel it too. Humans did not just survive. Humans inspired loyalty, courage, and even laughter. In the face of death. As the desert stretched on, Jack glanced at Lyra and said, Don't worry. I've faced worse than your council. And if they want to finish you, they're going to have to get through us first. Lyra looked up at him, eyes wide, and whispered, You really believe we can? Jack laughed once more, letting the sound carry over the sand. I don't just believe it. I know it. And for the first time that night, the desert felt alive. Jack and Lyra had been moving for hours. The desert stretched endlessly, sand rippling like frozen waves under the moonlight. Jack's boots left deep prints behind him, but he hardly noticed. Every sense in his body was alert, every muscle tense. He could feel danger in the air, alien danger. The kind that didn't sleep, didn't hesitate, and didn't forgive. Lyra walked beside him, struggling with every step. Her glowing skin pulsed faintly in the dark, her injuries slowing her down. But her eyes stayed locked on Jack's. He had never seen an alien so afraid, yet so determined. There was a quiet dignity in her desperation that made him respect her even more. She wasn't begging for mercy because she wanted to live comfortably. She begged because her life had meaning, because she had chosen it over obedience to a merciless council. Can you make it? Jack asked gently, glancing at her wounds. I will try, she whispered, teeth gritted. They are faster than us. I don't have much time. Jack nodded. He knew that the High Council didn't just send scouts. They sent hunters. Ships that moved like shadows, weapons that could wipe out entire towns, and minds that calculated every weakness. Humans had learned to fear them for a reason. But Jack smiled faintly, a dangerous curve of his lips. Don't worry, he said. I've faced worse than your council. And humans, we never give up. Lyra looked at him with a mixture of awe and confusion. You really believe that your species can fight them? She asked. Jack shrugged. Believe it? No, I know it. Humans survive because we refuse to quit. Even when all hope is gone, even when we are cornered. We fight. The wind changed suddenly, carrying a low hum. Lyra froze. Jack's eyes narrowed. Ships, she whispered. Her voice trembled. They found me. Jack scanned the horizon. 3 massive ships floated above the desert, silent, but threatening. Their metal skin reflected the moonlight, making them look like ghosts. The air vibrated slightly with their presence. Jack's heart didn't race. His instincts kicked in. This was not just fear, it was opportunity. "They're coming for you," he said. "But they're going to find more than one target." Lyra's lips parted in shock. "More than me?" Jack gestured toward the desert behind them. "Humans," he said. "We're not alone here. They don't know the full desert like we do." The ships descended slowly, their engines whispering a song of destruction. Lyra staggered slightly, leaning on Jack for support. "If they catch me," she began, voice breaking. "They won't," Jack interrupted. "Not if we move smart." But even he knew the danger. The Council didn't send ships for negotiation. They sent them for obedience. And if Lyra was caught, she would be erased in seconds. Jack looked at her, feeling a surge of protectiveness he hadn't felt in years. This alien, this stranger from another world, was relying on him. And he would not fail her. The closest ship lowered its weapon platform. A voice boomed, deep and unfeeling, resonating across the desert. "Lyra of the Seventh Light," it said. "Surrender immediately. The human will be spared. You cannot escape us." Jack laughed. Not out of joy, but out of disbelief. "Spared?" "Yeah, right," he muttered under his breath. "Humans don't get spared." Lyra's hands gripped his arm. "Jack, we can't fight them. They are too strong. We have to hide." Jack shook his head slowly, eyes fixed on the descending fleet. "Hide? Maybe, but first we make them regret chasing you." He pressed a small device on his wrist. A soft hum rose from the sand. Hidden signals spread like ripples across the desert. He didn't explain to Lyra what it did, but she felt the change immediately. From caves, from old ruins, from broken cities, humans began to emerge. Armed, alert, alive. Farmers with rifles, teenagers with makeshift weapons, old soldiers with experience written on their faces. They moved silently, surrounding the incoming ships without fear. Lyra's glowing eyes widened. You called them?" She gasped. "No," Jack said calmly. "I trusted them." The Council's voice boomed again, colder this time. "This human will die. You cannot survive." Jack's grin widened. "Maybe," he said. "But not alone." The first missiles from the humans struck one of the alien ships. Sparks and fire erupted. The other ships paused, confused. Humans kept coming, relentless and unstoppable in their numbers. Jack watched Lyra, stunned, her fear slowly giving way to awe. They fight like you said," she whispered. Jack nodded. "This is who we are. We survive. We protect. And we never let anyone take our own, no matter how powerful they are." As the desert exploded with light and the sky filled with fire and metal, Jack realized one thing. Tonight was only the beginning. The Council thought they were hunting one alien. They had no idea that humanity had already risen to the challenge. And Lyra, glowing and alive, held on to that truth with trembling hands, realizing that the very being she had come to observe could save her life. The desert exploded with movement. Human figures emerged from every hidden corner, caves, ruins, abandoned bunkers like ghosts brought to life by purpose and determination. Farmers, soldiers, children, and elders all moved as one, armed with rifles, improvised weapons, and a courage that surprised even Lyra. She stumbled slightly, her glowing blue form trembling, and looked at Jack with wide eyes. You didn't just call them," she whispered, awe in her voice. "You trusted them." Jack wiped sweat and sand from his brow and smiled faintly. "I don't call humans. I don't control them. I just trust them to do what's right. And usually we do." The alien ships hovered, their massive metal forms blocking the stars. The Council's voice boomed across the desert, cold and commanding. "Lyra of the Seventh Light, surrender immediately." Humans are insignificant. You cannot hide among them. Jack laughed, low and dangerous. Insignificant? He shouted toward the sky. You don't know humans. You've never really met us. Lyra clutched his arm. Jack, we can't win this. They have power ships, weapons, everything. Jack looked around at the humans assembling behind him. Faces hardened by war, lives hardened by hardship, eyes burning with determination. Maybe, he said softly. But power isn't everything. Humans, we fight for each other. We protect each other. And right now, I'm protecting you. The first missile streaked across the sky, striking the nearest alien ship. Fire erupted in a brilliant explosion, lighting the desert like daylight. The second ship hesitated, scanning for targets, but more missiles followed, more humans emerged from hiding. Jack watched Lyra's eyes widen in disbelief. They really fight, she whispered, voice trembling. Like you said. Like you promised. Jack smiled faintly, shaking his head. We fight. We survive. And we protect anyone who can't protect themselves. He motioned for her to follow him. Stay close. Don't get separated. Keep moving. They're not ready for this. The council's voice grew louder, filled with fury. Humans, you dare resist the High Council? You will be annihilated for this. Jack turned to Lyra and said softly, They think we are weak. That's their mistake. Humans are strongest when someone they care about is at risk. And right now, you're worth fighting for. Lyra's glow brightened slightly as she absorbed his words. Her fear began to transform into hope. And she realized something incredible. Humans were not just survivors, they were protectors, warriors, and guardians. Capable of rising, even when everything seemed lost. The humans moved like a storm across the desert. They knew their terrain, their strengths, and their courage. They struck in waves, coordinated despite minimal technology, relying on strategy, instinct, and sheer determination. Every missile, every shot, every movement made the alien ships hesitate. For the first time, the Council realized that humans were not just unpredictable, they were formidable. Jack's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel the power of his species in every human around him. They were not perfect, not orderly, but they were alive, full of stubborn courage and loyalty. And that loyalty so raw and uncalculable was something even the most advanced alien minds could not predict. Lyra stumbled, nearly falling, and Jack caught her. Hold on, he said, steadying her. They're trying to overwhelm us, but we're not done yet. She looked at him, glowing faintly, and whispered, Your species. It's more than I imagined. I thought humans were weak. I thought you'd run or beg or surrender. But you rise. You fight. Jack grinned. We rise. We fight. And sometimes, we laugh at the impossible. The alien ships began to retreat, realizing they had underestimated humanity. Their weapons faltered against the coordinated humans' ingenuity. They tried to flee, but humans pursued them, relentless, clever, unstoppable. Lyra watched in awe, tears forming as she realized the truth. These humans, the beings she had come to judge, were not only survivors. They were heroes. Jack led her through the chaos, dodging debris and fire, his focus unwavering. This is what humans do, he said quietly. We protect each other. And anyone who earns our trust, we will protect them too. Lyra's hands clutched his arm tightly. I cannot believe it, she whispered. All of this for me? Jack shook his head, smiling faintly. No, not for you. For all of us. For everyone who refuses to give up. Humans don't fight for glory, they fight for life. And right now, your life is part of that. The last alien ship finally broke the atmosphere and disappeared into the stars. The desert was quiet once again, except for the heavy breathing of humans and the soft glow of Lyra's body. Jack looked around at the assembled humans, messy, worn, scarred, but alive, and felt a surge of pride and relief. Lyra knelt in the sand, tears running down her glowing face. I cannot thank you enough," she whispered. Jack crouched beside her, brushing sand from her arm. "You don't need to thank me. You just needed to see what humans are. We don't give up. We fight, and sometimes we rise when everyone expects us to fall." She looked up at him, awe and gratitude filling her eyes. "I will never forget this," she said softly. "I will never forget humanity." Jack smiled, watching the desert stars above. The galaxy had underestimated them. The Council had underestimated them. But humans had answered. And now, Lyra, an alien of great power and knowledge, understood something he had always known. Humanity was dangerous. And dangerous in the best possible way. The night was quiet again, but this time the silence carried a promise. A promise that humanity, even against impossible odds, would always rise. The desert had fallen silent after the retreat of the alien ships. Smoke rose in thin gray columns from the distant battlefield, carrying with it the stench of scorched metal and sand. Jack and Lyra stood together, exhausted but alive, their shadows stretching long under the moonlight. For a moment, it felt like victory. But both of them knew it was only temporary. The Council was powerful, patient, and relentless. They would return. Lyra leaned heavily on Jack, her glowing blue skin flickering with fatigue. "I cannot believe this. Humans," she whispered, almost to herself. "I thought your kind would crumble, would surrender. Yet you rose. You fought." Jack smiled faintly, brushing sand from his sleeve. "We rise because we have to. Humans fight for each other. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because we care. And once someone earns our trust, we protect them. No matter what." Lyra's gaze softened, a faint glow of emotion in her eyes. "Then you would protect me?" she asked, almost shyly. Jack looked at her, his eyes steady. "Not just protect you. I'd fight with you. I'd die with you. But more importantly, I'll make sure you live. And that the Council knows humans are not to be underestimated." The glow from Lyra's body brightened slightly at his words. She had never heard such certainty from a human before. Most humans she had observed cowered, fled, or begged. But this one, the one who stood before her now, was different. Stronger, fearless, and unafraid of impossible odds. "We cannot stay here," Jack continued, scanning the horizon. "The Council will return. They'll send more ships. Bigger ships. And they won't come alone. If we hide, they will find us. If we fight, we must be ready to lose everything." Lyra looked at him, torn. "Then, what do we do?" Jack took a deep breath. "We make a choice. Right now. We either run, risking capture but staying alive for now. Or we fight, risking everything but proving that humans will not bend, will not surrender, will not let fear decide their future." Her eyes widened. "Fight? Against the Council?" "Yes," Jack said quietly, his voice steady. "Against every expectation. Against every rule they think they can enforce. Against every ship they can throw at us. And we fight together." Lyra's glowing light pulsed rapidly, fear and hope battling inside her. I cannot fight like you. I am not human, my people. The Council." Her voice broke, trembling. "They will destroy me." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to fight like a human. You just have to fight like yourself. That's all anyone can do. And you've already done more than most. You've trusted a human. You've defied your own people. That counts for more than you know." For a long moment, Lyra remained silent, the weight of her choice pressing down on her. To surrender would mean death or worse, betrayal of the humans she had come to respect. To fight would mean risking everything she had left. Finally, she straightened, glowing brighter now with determination. "Then, we fight, together." Jack nodded. "Good. That's the only choice that makes sense." He pulled her toward the edge of the desert where the humans had gathered. They were quiet, still recovering, but alert. Jack raised his hand, signaling the others to prepare. Each human around them held weapons, makeshift defenses, and resolve. They had survived impossible odds before. They could do it again. The wind shifted, carrying a low hum from the distance. Jack and Lyra froze. A massive shadow darkened the horizon. The council was returning, and this time, they brought everything they had. The 3 ships they had fought before were gone. In their place, a fleet larger, faster, deadlier. Lyra's glow flickered with fear, but Jack squeezed her hand. "Stay close," he said. "We fight smart. We fight fast. And no matter what, we don't run. Humans don't run from someone they've promised to protect." The ships descended, weapons primed, energy shimmering in deadly waves. Jack raised his rifle, feeling the familiar weight in his hands. Lyra stood beside him, glowing fiercely, ready to use her own alien powers against the council. "This is it," Jack said quietly. "Our choice. Our fight. Our moment to show the galaxy who humans really are." Lyra nodded, determination replacing fear. "Then let them come," she whispered. Jack smiled faintly, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "They will learn. Humans never surrender. And anyone who underestimates us pays the price." The desert trembled with the arrival of the fleet. But Jack and Lyra, side by side, stood firm. The humans behind them stood firm. And in that moment, under the stars and the threat of annihilation, they all understood the same truth. Courage was contagious, loyalty was unbreakable, and together, they were unstoppable. The night was about to erupt again, and this time, the council would learn what humans and their allies were truly capable of. The desert was quiet once again, but it was not the same quiet as before. The silence now carried the weight of anticipation, the kind that comes after survival, but before the next storm. Jack and Lyra stood side by side, watching the horizon. The fleet of the High Council loomed above, but it was different this time. They were cautious, hesitant, unsure. Humans had shown them something they had not expected. Something dangerous. Lyra's glow pulsed softly as she surveyed the assembled humans. Farmers, teenagers, soldiers, and elders' scars on their bodies. Determination in their eyes stood ready, united in a way that made the alien woman's chest tighten with awe. She had spent centuries observing humans, judging them, cataloging them. She had expected chaos, weakness, and fear. Instead, she found loyalty, courage, and a force that could not be calculated or contained. They actually did it, Lyra whispered, voice trembling. "They faced the council. And they survived." Jack put a hand on her shoulder. "Not just survived," he said quietly. "We fought. And we made them learn something they'll never forget. Humans do not bow. Humans do not surrender. Humans protect those they care about. No matter what." Lyra looked up at him, tears glimmering in her alien eyes. "I thought my people were strong. I thought I was prepared for anything. But I was wrong. Humans are stronger than I imagined." Jack's gaze swept over the desert, over the humans standing behind him. "They've underestimated us for centuries," he said softly. "Thought we were weak, emotional, unpredictable. But that's exactly why we survive. We care, we protect, we fight. And sometimes, we laugh at the impossible." The council's voice boomed across the desert once more, trembling slightly this time. "Lyra of the Seventh Light, you have endangered yourself and interfered with the council's orders. The humans are not to be underestimated. You will return, And your species will answer for this. Lyra's hands trembled. I cannot go back. Not like this. Not after what they have done. What you have done. Jack shook his head. You don't go back alone. And you don't go back broken. You go back with the truth. You tell them what humans are. Who we really are. And maybe they will finally understand. Lyra nodded slowly. She understood. This was not just about survival. This was about change. About proving to a galaxy that humans were not just another species to be judged and erased. They were something more. Something dangerous and beautiful. Weeks passed. The council withdrew, retreating to rethink their strategy. Lyra returned to her world, but she carried the memory of humans and their courage like fire in her veins. She spoke to the council with honesty and conviction, telling them everything: the laughter, the courage, the unity, and the willingness of humans to fight for each other and for her. The council listened. They hesitated. For the first time in history, they saw humans as more than weak, unpredictable creatures. They saw humans as strong, loyal, and terrifyingly resilient. Back on Earth, Jack watched the night sky, the stars calm and indifferent once more. But he felt a change in the universe. Something had shifted. Humans had survived not because of technology or numbers, but because of heart, courage, and unity. And now, the galaxy had learned a dangerous truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Lyra appeared one evening, standing at the edge of the desert. Her glow was soft, her expression filled with gratitude. "You saved more than my life," she said quietly. "You saved my understanding of your species. And perhaps the future of your world." Jack smiled faintly. "Humans save each other. That's what we do. You just happened to be in the right place at the right time." She shook her head, a small smile on her lips. "No, it was your trust, your courage, your laughter. That is what saved me. That is what made the council pause. That is what made them see humans in a new light." Jack looked at the stars again, thinking of every life that had fought, every hand that had held another, every risk that had been taken for something bigger than oneself. "Then let them learn," he said softly. "Let them learn that humans will rise, that humans will protect, and that anyone foolish enough to underestimate us will regret it." Lyra nodded. "I will tell them. I promise." The desert wind blew gently around them, carrying the soft sounds of distant human settlements, of life continuing, of hope enduring. And in that quiet, Jack realized something profound. Humans did not just survive the galaxy. They changed it. With courage, with loyalty, with laughter, and with hearts that refused to be broken. The stars above twinkled silently, but now they witnessed something new. The galaxy had met humanity, and it would never forget. Jack looked at Lyra, smiled, and whispered, "Welcome to the galaxy." From a human perspective. Lyra laughed softly, a sound full of relief, awe, and wonder. I finally understand." And for the first time, the desert night felt infinite, full of possibility, and unafraid. Humanity had answered. Humanity had won. And the galaxy would never be the same.